there we are once again.
Our fun intro.
Yeah. I got to figure out a way to actually record that and tee it up so it's just one button instead of like
you having to click all of the different.
This is why we were supposed to have a producer for this.
Hey,
crap.
Leave him alone.
Well, hi, Shallow Friends. It's episode 5. It's a mystery topic because we never really got around to that last time.
We forgot to, is really the truth. We just forgot to narrow in.
I don't think we were prepared to either. It was an hour plus in and we were kind of like, bleh.
Time to be done.
Yeah, it was time to be done.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. We'll tell y'all what the episode topic is. But first we have to talk about our sponsor.
We actually have a sponsor this week.
We did last time too.
We did last time.
Sort of, but because I talked.
Oh yeah, no, we did. We did.
I mean, the lawyers got done lawyering right before we recorded last episode. So
right.
So Polly on Wine has once again hooked us up with a couple of bottles of lovely vino for our to fuel the conversation.
Yes, wine fueled.
Wine fueled. Hey. Oh, wow.
We are really on brand.
Good for us.
Which one did you want to start with?
That one because it's easier.
It's a crank
unscrew it.
Okay.
So thanks to Polly. Check out the amazing premiere episode of Polly's podcast Under the Vinfluence.
It's Polly's podcast, but it's also your podcast.
Well, it is.
You're cheating on the shallow end with Polly. Okay, hang on. We have to do the ASMR.
Grip it. Oh, yeah. Ready? Now we got... That has got to be some quality content right there. Yay! All right. No one cares, but...
No, we care.
This is Borsao Garnacha.
Borsao? Where's it from?
It's from Spain. And you should drink this with food. Okay, cool.
Well, we just had dinner, so...
We had a lovely dinner.
We did.
By the way, this is another first for us.
Yes.
We are in person, but we are off-site.
Off campus.
We are hiding in a bunker in a major North American city.
We're not going to reveal the city. People aren't going to be able to find us if we reveal the city. It's a pretty big city.
No, we'll be out of here by the time anybody listens to this.
We're in Chicago this weekend for a fun little family trip.
Negotiating with the locations for our various live shows that are going to come up soon.
We've been touring some theaters,
yeah.
But we haven't found any that are big enough yet. So
for our egos.
Yeah. So that's still in the works, but stay tuned.
So are also now becoming a traditional shout out. And now we can do a toast to our loyal shallow friends.
Thank you, shallow friends.
Cheers. We did manage to alienate about half of them between the last 2 episodes. So those of you who are still listening, you are a dying breed. Ooh, bless you.
That came out of nowhere. Sorry, guys.
I mean, you didn't splash, so that's important.
No.
Either through your nose or the wine. I'm very
true.
happy about
okay.
That.
Cheers to
cheers. We have to finish the cheers. Yeah. That's red wine.
Whoa. Yeah.
We were drinking Turkish wine at dinner.
Yeah, we went to a Turkish restaurant for dinner.
Fantastic.
It was so good. It was so delicious. Well, it's a wobbly table.
I know, it is a wobbly table.
Everything just wibbled.
If you see the camera shake, it's not because there's an earthquake. It's just the bad,
it's us.
Bad table.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, thank you to the shallow friends.
Thank you, guys.
We obviously it's okay that not many people listen because no one, like, why would you care?
Why would you care? And also the amount of effort that we're putting into this is, I would say, equal to the amount of stuff we're getting out of it.
Right. We do it for the art.
Yeah.
We do it for the art and not the accolades. And that's fine.
Every big artist was not recognized in their time. So
it started as a lazy hack like us.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all that said, would you like to tell the other person what we're going to talk about today?
What our topic is? Yes. We're going to talk about growing up.
Wait, growing up.
Yeah.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys and Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Okay, yeah, whatever. I don't
Wow,
need
they're very out of breath in this theme song.
They are true children singing, I don't want to grow up.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
So,
Oh.
so now that Toys R Us is dead, what is the actual topic?
No, the actual topic is growing up.
Yeah. Growing up.
Where did we? This was inspired by something recently. We have
I think we were having a conversation about extended adolescence or something like that, where it was like a pseudo intellectual discussion, like as we always do,
like all of our
we're the
discussions.
shallow ones.
Yeah, it was something like that. I think maybe Mom was going on a rant about it, as she does.
She brought the wine downstairs.
She did. She brought the wine downstairs for us because she's so wonderful. But we added it to our list of topics because I think it's a very interesting and nuanced topic that I don't really have a conclusion on personally. I feel like I have conclusions on a lot of things, but this one and
it can go so many different directions.
Yes.
I want to just let's state it for the record now so that we hopefully stick to it. What we don't necessarily want to do is just go back and forth on how Rebecca grew up and how I grew up.
No.
Maybe there will be some stories like that to share different points, but we already told you about us.
Almost
this is
too much.
Yeah.
One might say. Yeah.
But I think we should. It's more. It was. I think it was more motivated by the idea that the concept of growing up is sort of a moving target these days.
Yes, or the achievement of being a grown up,
right,
has different requirements now than it used to.
So go ahead, take a stab. What's growing up? Define
what is a grown up?
That's how you always
adult?
have to start. Yeah, what is a grown up?
That's my problem. Is I don't have a conclusion. I don't know. Like there are many different qualifications that if I were like, oh, how would I define this to like an alien? I would lay some things out, but then in my real life, I'm not hitting them. So
you ain't grown up.
You ain't grown up. No, I ain't. No.
But that's okay.
But I feel like I'm an adult, though.
Ooh, but that's not the topic.
But it's not the topic. Am I a grown up?
I was.
Who can say?
It's interesting because we didn't even decide we were doing this until yesterday.
Yeah.
But earlier, it was last week, I was having this having this kind of conversation with a friend, and he has children at various ages, ranging, about our family, and he just kept repeating that his goal as a parent was to get his kids to 25 and alive. That's all. It's like once they're 25 and alive, I'm done. And I was like, wow, you got really, really low standards.
You mean if they hit 25 and they're still alive, you're just dropping everything?
Apparently.
And you're like, I succeeded.
Yeah, I think he was being a little tongue-in-cheek there, but...
Yikes.
And I was like, well, I got a 25-year-old still living at home.
Yeah, he just moved back in.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to air out the family tea.
Well, I thought that's why we were doing this.
No.
Oh, darn.
No, we're talking like more, not metaphorically, but like in a broader sense, not so narrowed into our lives. So
right.
We brainstormed a little bit about the things that we wanted to hit on. And there's, what did it used to mean? What does it mean now? Because they're very different, I think, because of a couple reasons. That might be controversial for me to say.
No, it's fine. Well, what did it used to be?
So that's a question for you. Because
I can go back to, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, but even beyond that, like we were just at the museum yesterday and they were talking about coal miners starting at age 13.
Well, they said age 6 to 12, you would be working above ground.
You'd still be working.
13, you're below.
Yeah. So age 6, like what did growing up look like to those folks?
Yeah.
That's a tough life.
Yeah.
But that makes sense to me because I think cultural requirements evolve over time. And so, at the time you needed to dig that coal.
Pay off your
And-
family's debt, my dude.
When I was growing up, the generic expectation was kid's job was to go to school.
Mhm.
And I grew up in a fairly affluent background. And so, nice suburban education. And
Mhm.
you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, and then you're out of the house. And most of the time that worked. Most of the people I graduated high school with, they didn't go back and live at home.
Yeah.
That has definitely changed
Definitely
now.
changed. Yeah, which I think is due to a bajillion different reasons. It could be due to, but we're not talking about like the current like housing market or job market, and we're not going to dive into that.
We're not
yet.
Oh, okay.
We might eventually, and probably knock our tiny little heads on the
With
bottom of the
special
pool.
guest Chase.
Oh my gosh! So Chase can come on and rant about affordable housing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh gosh. Eventually, though, we do want to have producer Chase on the podcast as special guest.
Of course.
Because we've teased content from him, but have not had him.
Yeah, it would be
Present
great if
sense.
he could fix this whole thing.
What's wrong with this?
The little
Looks great.
These buttons and stuff up here.
Oh, you mean our intro? Okay.
Mhm.
This button. Stupid.
Thank you. Wow.
Sorry.
Live feedback.
But I moved back in with my parents
Well, there was a little bit of a
because
reason.
there was a pandemic.
Right.
A pandemic hit, and
School was pointless.
school. Yeah, I wasn't gonna stay alone in my apartment, not doing school, when you guys lived so close.
And you're in a hard science that requires lab work.
Yeah, they tried to make me do an organic chemistry online lab,
No.
and it was like a computer game, and it was like click and drag the beaker. Like, I'm not learning shit.
That sounds like it would really pay off in a professional career, that
So
class right there.
stupid. It was so stupid. Yeah, so I moved home for that, but I mean, people are moving back in with their parents way more often now. And again, we're not going to dive into housing or job markets, but I do think a lot of it is the definition of being grown up has become looser, and it's not so forbidden anymore.
Okay. So my take on that is that the definition of being grown up is no longer related to any sense of independence. It's
Ooh.
decoupled from you go to school, you get a job, you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's not what grown up necessarily means. Grown up means I get to do more. I can drink, I can smoke weed. I don't even need to drive because I don't do that anymore. No, kids don't do that. That's not part of the
Kids don't do that?
kids don't do. They don't get driver's licenses. They don't
Is
care.
that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, you were on the normal. You were like,
Well, I'm a little bit
I want some
past
freedom.
that
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Like my youngest brother is going to start driver's ed soon, in like a couple of years.
Year and a half.
And you're saying kids in that section aren't.
There are some
don't
that are
want
still
to
on
anymore?
that same, get your license at 16,
Yeah.
but there are a ton. They're like, why would I do that when mommy drives me around?
That's
everywhere?
very interesting.
Plus, there are kids kids just don't do as much anymore.
Well,
There's
they don't do as much outside of the house.
Right. There's organized events, like organized sports and activities.
Mhm.
So, and this will bring me to another thing that I'm just going to be old man shouting
We're
at clouds.
just gonna.
Like there isn't any independence at a younger age.
No.
Kids are either on a screen or they're at an organized activity like sports or school activity, drama.
Yeah.
And it's always with adults
Hmm.
hovering over them.
Yes.
They don't just get kicked out of the house to go throw rocks at cars
Dork
and
around
stuff,
and
learn limits and learn independence and learn
Mm-hmm.
what little tastes of freedom that then motivates that next step in the freedom.
Yeah, and I would even say being left to go do your own things without adult, not only intervention, but presence, I think puts the responsibility on the children to navigate complicated social interactions that they might not have had the responsibility to do if a parent were present. And so if that is being taken away now, kids don't know how to navigate social situations properly anymore. The social contract is kind of broken. Like, again, we went to a museum yesterday, and it was a Friday, middle of the day, and I, being dumb, was like, oh, it's like the middle of a work day, like nobody's gonna be here.
Yeah.
And we show up and it's just slammed with children, like school groups. And
Rebecca would really prefer that no children grow up and that they all just go into the ocean.
yes, well, or a child is born and is an adult immediately. I don't want the in-between phase.
Please add value immediately.
Yeah, don't be annoying for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But you, me, and Mom were observing these children interact with each other and also with strangers in the museum. And we were watching them what is going on with these kids?
So embarrassing.
They just either don't have an awareness, but I think more likely don't give a shit about how their actions affect all of the other human beings living lives around them.
No, they've never had to learn that.
They've never had to learn that.
What is it? What the main character syndrome?
Main character syndrome, yeah.
So
yeah,
I think that you're describing a bunch of behaviors that are that's. So I think we're agreeing with each other that there's a crisis of people not growing up in today's culture.
Yes.
Which is interesting because we talked about pets last week.
Yeah.
I know. Just stick with me, all right? So our pets, sometimes you can get a pet and you'll be like, oh, this pet didn't have enough parenting early on. And it's crazy.
And you can tell.
Well, it made me think, what are the ways that animals teach proper behavior to their young? And most of the time it's through play and then rapid feedback, right?
Yes.
So the behavior is constrained by immediate feedback from the mother. Immediate
and strict feedback.
Right. But it's premised on play.
Mm-hmm.
Kids these days don't genuinely have play. Everything is directed for them.
Yeah.
Even if they're playing video games, there's no real inventiveness there. And I think that's a piece of the brain development that people aren't getting. They're not getting, to your point about the social part, I think that's true too, in a similar way, like the independent social exploration and, peer feedback, dude, stop it.
Immediate feedback from peers for sure.
And you learn. If you want to hang with people, you learn.
Well, this is another thing that we were talking about. We have a lot of interesting conversations off camera and off mic. So I'm sorry.
That's why we do it. That's why we try to capture it here.
But we've had multiple conversations about this increased epidemic. I don't want to call it an epidemic. That feels so dramatic. But of people being unable to handle negative feelings. Oh, I was overly familiar with this person and they looked at me like I was weird. So I had to call my mom so she would let me come home from school because it hurt my feelings so bad. It's like, no.
What was the one?
You were overly familiar with that person and they looked at you weird because this is how social interaction works. And you should take that and learn from it and move on. It feels bad because he did something strange, dude.
Right. That bad feeling is supposed to teach you to not do that again.
It's valuable still.
Wasn't there one I'm not going to remember where we got the story, but it was somebody who actually had. Oh, we were talking about the hiring fair.
Oh my gosh!
That somebody actually had an interview, prospective employer had somebody come in and they brought their parent with them.
And you said not just drove them to the building.
Walked into the interview with them and sat down next to them, and then started answering questions for their child. And this kid was probably a high schooler, but of sufficient age to work, whether it was a host or a dishwasher or something like that in a restaurant. And
that's insane. That's actually crazy. And I feel a little bit, I think I feel more insane about this than you do, because you're almost 51. So it makes sense that you'd be like, oh, kids these days.
Yeah.
Age appropriate. I'm 24.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like my 18-year-old sister says stuff and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I feel so old compared to
you're an old soul, Rebecca.
People not that much younger than I am. So it's very strange for me to realize that I've hit the kids these days age so young.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get good at that phase.
I'm going to really hone my skills
right.
in kids these days. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we're just ranting about how no one's growing up.
Now we're just getting ourselves angry.
So how does it? What would it look like? Like, what would it look like to grow up in this wild modern world with social media and
like, what are the qualifications? What are things that you could say? Either look to somebody and name things about them that make them a grown up, or say these are the things you need to have to be a grown up. What are some things that you would say when you were growing up? What were the things that you thought in your brain, to be a grown up, these are the things I have to have?
A plan, just to be, I mean, it's basically, for me, it was, you have to be out of the house.
Okay. Out of the house.
You're living on your own and you're taking care of your business. And that business could be, you're still in college, but your mommy and daddy aren't picking your classes for you.
Right. Okay. But I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Living on your own and doing your own thing, but how do you factor in like financial help from parents still? Because a lot of kids in college are like in college going to classes and picking their own classes and, like cooking food, doing all of the grown-up stuff on their own.
Yeah,
but it's all being paid for by parents.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. I guess I hadn't. So being independent doesn't necessarily mean you don't have family support, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across the board. Like there's a difference between, making the decisions for yourself and then having your parents support, financially, emotionally, all that kind of stuff, versus your parents
all of the decisions
doing that and then also providing all that emotional, like direct.
That's a very good point.
So I think that there's certainly room for parents to be involved in supporting.
And there's, I think, nuance there too. Like maybe there could be a situation where there's somebody who's paying for everything themselves, but relies on their parents to heavily weigh in on all of the decisions they make, versus somebody who's not financially supporting themselves as much, but is making all of those decisions. Mm-hmm. So it could be, I mean, there are different categories that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit person dependent, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's interesting that now we're like, well, there's nuance, but
there's nuance, but I think we're taking slices of a subset of the current generation, where the percentage of the current generation that would be, we have got to give nuance and gray area is like still really small, and most of them don't give a shit. That's what we're ranting about.
Okay, I see.
So now that we're like saying, oh, there's nuance, well, you're still, I think, talking about maybe 25% of the generation that I would have expected to be growing up right now.
Is not.
Well, no, I'm saying 25% is in that nuanced kind of way,
Oh,
and
you're saying
75%
is totally fucked. Okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I think my gripe with a lot of people, okay, not around my age, a little bit younger than I am. So
Mhm.
still technically in my generation, but I think here's another topic we could talk about is generations
hmm
are becoming much more narrow
Yeah.
as technology advances
Uh-huh.
because it's
Like the
Anyway,
Instagram versus the TikTok generation.
well, for some reason people are still using Snapchat. Like children are using Snapchat, and I'm like, that became a thing when I was a teenager, and pretty much immediately we were all like, this is stupid, and kind of chucked it out. And the next group of kids picked it up and we're like, this is amazing. We're going to use this for every form of communication, which is another thing we could talk about, social media.
We are. You are talking about social media right now.
I mean, for an hour and a half, we could talk about social media.
Ooh. I wouldn't be equipped to do that.
You don't think so? You don't have thoughts about?
If we're going to talk for an hour and a half on social media, I would want hour 25 to be on Facebook.
I was
because that's
say,
the only one I know.
You don't have anything to say about LinkedIn or anything?
Oh, I guess LinkedIn.
People use LinkedIn as social media. Well,
they use it for a dating app. I know that.
My age uses LinkedIn. I met. This is so off topic, but I met a couple that met on Facebook dating.
Oh.
And they live together now. They have a child.
How long ago did they meet on Facebook?
Like
dating?
5 years ago.
Okay. Back when it was sort of relevant.
No, I can't say that. I was exposed to tea. I can't say that.
It's okay. They're not going to ever see this.
No, they're not. But I feel like I have to be loyal.
Okay, that's very kind.
I forget what we were talking about.
Well, you were on a tangent about social media.
I mean, before that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we lost it. Qualifications to be grown up.
Yeah.
So I took some notes, not notes, but I jotted down some thoughts.
You didn't do the history of growing up like I did about pets?
Damn, you should have told me I had to do that.
I still think that's a good idea, and I might do it.
Shallow dive?
I might do a shallow dive into certain topics. I was not prepared to do it for this one, but
I think for certain topics it works.
Shallow dive into astrophysics.
Oh boy, are we diving into astrophysics?
Well, let's not leave it. If that star goes supernova, and then we're going to go talk about it, right?
I mean, might as well.
Betelgeuse or something like Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
Betelgeuse.
Well,
I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's spelled weirdly, but it's pronounced the same.
Beetlejuice?
Yeah, because the people that made the movie named the guy after the star and just spelled it differently.
Well, I'm just saying, if that goes supernova, we're going to have to talk about it. And maybe we'll do a shallow dive into...
Like, maybe current events.
Yeah.
That's on our list.
But then that would mean we would have to, like, start completely just...
Oh my gosh, we could get my old astrophysics professor as our guest.
Oh, right. From the Harvard
from
lady.
The community college stint I did over COVID. I had this professor at community college for a physics credit that I just wanted to get out of the way. And she is an astrophysics PhD.
Yeah.
She got her PhD in astrophysics from Harvard.
And is also a successful game designer.
She's such a badass.
And she is a badass.
And she has a bearded dragon that she would have on her shoulder when she taught us sometimes. She's such a legend.
I love this.
I genuinely, if we did an astrophysics episode, I would email her and be like,
aren't we just,
hey girl,
like aping ologies at that point?
Yeah. So
sorry, Allie.
I mean, I think Allie will be fine.
Ooh, we could get her on as the expert on podcasts.
Oh yeah, we'll do an episode just on podcasting.
Yeah,
we can have her on. We could do an episode on comedy and get the McElroy brothers on.
They're not funny anymore.
Excuse me?
They're not. I'm sorry. They're so sick of each other. I think they're sick of the format and they just need to mix it up. But
well, they've been podcasting for over a decade.
I think they need to grow up, Rebecca. Look at that. Just put it back
full
together.
circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to our topic.
Sorry,
Again.
folks.
This is how our normal conversations
Yeah,
go,
it
though.
is.
It's
It is.
very
I don't even know why we were
authentic.
trying. Why would we want to have extra discipline put on it just because we're talking? Let's just.
Well, because if we just keep
cares?
talking with no goal,
Yeah, but
people are going to get bored and be
just
like,
naturally brought it back.
this is so boring. They just won't shut up about nothing. I'm going to go listen to something more interesting. Like my brother.
like half the people already did. What do we have to like introduce bits
No.
to keep people interested?
No.
Okay, good.
I'll do.
'Cause I don't have any prepared.
Hey, no. Shallow dive is your bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll be a bit.
You can have the bit of shallow dive. Ugh. Okay. Qualifications for growing up. Like, I would say 1, age is a pretty basic one.
Oh, okay.
That classically
It's a moving
is
target,
applied
though.
to being a grown up.
Right, but
Age
it is a
important.
moving target.
Yes, I agree.
It's a culturally. So maybe I'm just pissed off because culturally the age to grow up is appropriately getting later.
You think appropriately?
I don't, but I'm just putting it out there.
You're saying maybe it's an appropriate shift that I'm just being old and angry about.
Maybe it was 13 back in the
coal mining days,
or the 1200s or whatever. Like, get out of the house. We don't want to spread our plague. And now it's evolved to, it was 18. Now it was 20s, and now we're like, we got 25-year-olds that don't know how to tie their own shoes.
All right.
I know, I'm exaggerating.
No, but I think it's interesting the age, because I've always felt older than I am. Emotionally, I wouldn't say like mentally, because I definitely, like, when I was a teenager, I was aware when I was around adults, like, my brain is not like their brain. I can tell. But I've always...
But you were making that evaluation, which is really weird.
And I've always preferred, like, spending time with adults more than, at least when I was a teenager, spending time with teenagers, which I think is pretty logical, because teenagers
they're awful.
They suck so bad. Yeah. But also, like, I like hanging out with your friends, who are a bunch of, like, 50-year-old people.
They're not all 50.
No, they're not all 50s. Some of them are 30, which is weird for you.
Well,
less weird for me.
I'm not dating them. They're just friends.
Yeah, that's true. But
and they're grown up, by the way, mostly.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because, well, okay, that one that you're talking about.
The one I'm thinking about is
really
probably not so grown up, huh? He's a special one.
He did move out of mommy's house, so that's good.
Yay.
This is a person that will be on the podcast.
Yeah.
It will be fun.
And we'll speak the same way we're talking about him now
100%.
to his face.
For sure.
But I've always felt older than I am. But I also still, at age 24, don't feel like a grown-up. Like, when I'm out in public, I see other adults, and I'm like, that's a grown-up. And they look at me and they think I'm a child.
Yeah, I wish I understood that.
But it's not true.
Right. I wish I understood that, because I still think.
About yourself or about me?
About myself.
You don't think you're a grown-up?
No.
Okay, so it stays that way.
Yeah, and but then, like, trying to teach myself that, like, no, I'm the grown-up in the room right now.
You're like, you look at a situation, you're like, where's the grown-up? And then you're like, oh, fuck, I'm the grown-up.
Yeah.
Well, I've had moments like that before, too.
Well, since you were 10. You're like, well, okay. Oh, crap. All these, my brothers are older than me, but I'm the grown-up.
Everybody here is a mess. Somebody needs to take control. But more recently than that, like, I've been, and I'm not going to use names because I don't want to expose people's, like, personal shit. Sorry, I keep shaking the table.
Another earthquake.
This is on me. But there was a situation when I was like 19, and one of my friends was struggling mentally, and I was panic called by one of my other friends that was like, our friend is not doing well. We need to go to their house right now
Mhm.
because they're like having suicidal thoughts and things are bad. We all need, like, all of our friend group needs to come to their house and support them right now. And I was like, I'm on my way. But I lived like 45 minutes away at that time.
Right.
So I drove in as quickly as I could. And when I got there, it was our friend group and this person's mom had shown up because I assume one of our other friends had called her and was like, your child is not doing well. You need to come right now. So the mother was there, and I walked into this very tense situation where my friend was trying to express to their mother, like, I'm really struggling. I'm gonna do something bad if I don't have help right now. And they weren't like saying you have to do this, and this, or
Right.
I'm gonna kill myself. Like, it wasn't that. It was
No.
just this person was like, I'm not doing well and I need help. Please help me.
Right.
And their mother was literally standing there across the counter from them, telling them that they were wrong and they didn't feel that way and they were just being lazy. And I like walked into this conversation where the grown up in the room was saying these things to their child, and I looked around like, okay, like, I guess I'll be the grown up here.
Well,
Like,
perhaps you walked
nobody
in.
else here is gonna
Perhaps
fix
you
this.
perhaps you walked into the scene and went, symptom, somebody's struggling.
Cause is in
toxic,
the room.
awful parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proving why this person is struggling
Yeah.
right now in front of us. So,
I
like,
remember that story.
even then I was like, how does this fall to me to be the one kicking the mother out of the apartment and driving my friend to a mental hospital and
Right.
checking them in? Like, how is this my responsibility? I'm a child.
Well,
But I was 19, so I wasn't really a child, but I didn't feel like an adult.
yep. I mean, I've had a somewhat similar experience as an adult,
Mm.
but that experience, it obviously a little bit different based on the dynamics you're describing, but I do recall very clearly thinking, why does this fall to me?
Why is this my responsibility?
And I
Yeah.
think that in that case, I think there were good intentions from the friend group, right?
Mhm.
To like, okay, we need to rally around and provide whatever support this person needs in that moment.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think
it's the point of friends.
Yeah, exactly. And the self-awareness to call for help
Yes.
and ask for help is probably a pretty good indicator that you're growing up.
Yeah.
It's better than just pitching a fit and throwing your toys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better than just going to alcohol and drugs.
And it's better than the friend group getting a call that our friend had died because they weren't able to ask for help when they needed it.
Right. So that's an interesting example. I because I agree that's not, you wouldn't think, oh, I'm going to go out and have this group of friends to support each other, and then it's going to get to that point, or that it would ever escalate to the point where you have to tell the mother, you need to get the fuck out because you are just making this worse.
Yeah. And also, I didn't even say you need to leave. I said, the shit that you're saying to this person right now is why they feel this way. And she was like, well, fine, I guess I'm not wanted here. And she left on her own.
Right,
and I was
that's
like,
right.
Okay. But to the point of our topic, like, quote unquote qualifications to be grown up, she had all of them. She was older. She had all of her, like, she moved out of her parents' house. The mom I'm talking about moved out of her parents' house forever ago, got married, had children, had a child that was at college. She had all of these qualifications where she should have been the grown up in the room, and she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I had almost zero of the qualifications, and I was. So the category of grown up is like a shifting.
So
maybe case by case.
Okay, maybe you had one of the most important qualifications of being a grown up, though. Another friend. This is going to be the specific phrase that he uses, but it's applicable as a sort of generic phrase. a grown-up wakes up in the morning,
Feeling like P. Diddy.
no, shaves their face and goes to work.
Not I.
I understand.
Oh.
But his point was, you don't sit around moaning about what is wrong with you, what is wrong with this person. You don't go to a job interview and
Bring your mom.
Bring your mom. You don't. You understand the job today is I'm going to wake up, I'm going to make myself presentable, and I'm going to show up for work.
And I'm going to do the thing that I told other people I was going to do.
Grown-ups show up.
Huh.
You showed up for your friend that day. It was you were the grown-up in the room.
I completed the agreement between me and my friend.
Right.
And the mother of the child did not complete that agreement.
Now, the mother was actively trying to
She's
destroy.
a fucking piece of work, dude.
Yeah, I remember
She's
those
a
days,
mess.
and it was because it wasn't just the one.
No,
you
she
know.
was consistently horrible.
She was a problem.
And I hope she hears this. I'm talking to
I
you.
hope she's so much better and very much apologetic for what she put her daughter through.
I mean, that is what I mean.
Let's hope for the best. Plan for the worst.
Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Cheers to that.
Let's go murder a bitch.
That's what we do. Ooh.
Wait, what?
Okay. No.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Here's another thing that actually, interestingly enough, I forgot to take a sip.
It's bad luck if you don't.
It is bad luck. We went to an art museum today, and there was one particular painting. Hey, it was good. We left and went.
It was
good.
It was good. We went to the Art Institute of Chicago.
Yeah,
Beautiful. If you can't like that place, then you're dead inside.
It's insane. It's insane. Okay, there was this particular painting that I can't stop thinking about. Mom and I both saw it at the same time, and we both stood there like silent, staring at it. And then she goes, "I hate this."
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. Which my mother is not an art appreciator in the first place.
Art is stupid.
Yeah, she believes that. What are you looking at?
Was it this one?
No, but it was by the same artist.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
I'm gonna show this just so that people.
For the podcast viewers.
Yeah.
In
So
the room.
this is going to be a.
Yeah,
this is
not going to be good.
Trying new technology here, guys. This is a piece called "The Picture of Dorian Gray," and
I can't really see very well, but it's really gross and it's huge. It's like life size of a person.
And it's by Ivan Albright.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let me look up this other one
creepy.
then.
So it was the same artist.
Same artist.
So she hated it.
What was it?
Ivan Albright. Who I've never heard of, but that doesn't mean anything.
Me neither. But it was a painting about womanhood. I'm going to get on my soapbox now. About womanhood, but specifically womanhood and growing up. And it was this painting.
By Ivan?
It was this painting
Is
called...
he allowed to have an opinion on that?
It was this painting called "Into the World There Came a Soul Called Ida." Look it up.
Ooh.
And it's this painting of this woman. And when Mom and I saw it, Mom goes, "Oh, I almost missed the lumpy woman."
Yeah.
Because it's this painting of a very old woman sitting in here, I'll show the viewers in the room. You can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get a sense of these things. They're not...
A very old woman sitting in a chair, like how I imagine, before a vanity, powdering her face, kind of. But she's sitting... She's old. You can tell she's old. Her legs are lumpy, and she's kind of sagging in places, and she's wearing these clothes that you would expect a young, beautiful woman to wear. And in the painting, you can tell she's wearing shoes that are too small for her now, because you can tell that her feet are swelling out of them.
Oh my.
And it looks painful. And she's holding this mirror, but doesn't look like she wants to look in the mirror. it's
There's a lot going on
it's
here.
tough to look at, honestly.
Right.
When you look at it, you're like, I don't want to keep looking at this
So
person.
tell me what I'm supposed to
But-
think when that painting is.
The painting is about how women are constantly chasing the youth
Mm,
and the value that is placed on youth specifically for women,
mhm.
so much so that it gets to a grotesque point when you can
Got
tell
it.
that somebody's trying to make themselves something that they're not anymore. And it would be easier if they were comfortable in the skin that they had now
Right.
versus trying to be
Okay, that's interesting.
still what they used to be. Like in the description on the wall, it was saying like the artist was intentionally painting her so that she was holding this mirror, but like it looked like it was so like too heavy for her to hold up, and she just looked
Interesting.
like she didn't want to look in the mirror. Like it
Yeah.
was too hard for her to see what she looked like now. And it's a painting about how women, older women, should place value in their age as much as they placed value in their youth.
Mhm.
And I think that's a very interesting.
I think it is like the stereotypical old man is allowed to be wise
Yes.
and look like shit,
Yeah.
and the old woman. I mean, I think in certain cultures it's fine, but yeah, in the superficial culture of like
At least Western culture, I would
Yeah.
say it's way more. Like it makes me even a little bit sad to see like a very old lady with like bright red lipstick on, and it's like not really on her mouth anymore because she doesn't really have skin on her lips. It's just kind of like around her mouth. Like it makes me sad. I'm like,
but okay.
like, what are you trying to be, my love? Be what you are now. Stop living in the past.
Be a grown up.
I don't think she has trouble with being.
No, I know. It's just
But
yeah.
It's like it just made me. It was like I saw this painting, and I thought, how interesting that I see this today when what we're talking about this evening is the idea of growing up and like I'm sure this is common. I know this is common. When I was younger, always thought I can't wait to grow up because people will finally take me seriously.
Right.
Like what I say will matter. But now I'm 24 and I see people my age, women my age, getting Botox because they're starting to have frown lines or laugh lines.
Wow.
I'm like, you're 24. And if you have laugh lines or frown
Celebrate
lines,
them.
good for you. You lived. You had emotions.
Right.
You experienced things.
Exactly.
I don't understand why we're trying to pretend that, like when we were all younger, we were all desperate to grow up, and now that we're grown up, we're desperate not to be.
Right.
It's just interesting.
Well,
it's sad.
And I think that this was part of a podcast that I was listening to. They were talking about the emotions, and this ties in like the idea that as you are growing, you can't wait to grow up makes sense. It's a motivator to try new things and go out there and like put yourself out there. So it makes sense. But the emotions and the bad experiences are intended to teach you. And now we're teaching kids bad feelings should not be felt.
Shouldn't be part of life.
You should like kind of tamp down any kind of negativity. Anxiety, that's terrible for you.
Well,
you should get rid of anxiety.
Not even that. It's like nervousness. Oh, you have anxiety.
Well, that's what it is. It's to an extreme, right?
It's like
because there's no question. There's plenty of things that actually, people have crippling depression and crippling anxiety. Yeah, we need to help them.
Yeah.
But there's apparently, and I'm definitely coming from the shallow end here. Apparently, there's really very little clinical evidence that drugs are a more effective tool for mild and moderate depression and anxiety versus just talk therapy.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense to my brain.
Obviously in really intense experiences, you need those, and
Mhm.
sometimes maybe you just need them for a little bit of time to kind of get centered, and then
Yeah.
um, and then move forward. But the idea that we want to eliminate
all bad
all
emotions
bad
or
emotions is
experiences.
a terrible.
It's very weird.
It means that you don't develop. It
Yeah.
means you don't develop with two bumpers
And
on either side.
oh,
You've got, you know, the good side sometimes, but you're
Ish.
probably,
Like,
you're
this is-
mellowing those
it's
too.
what I was about to say is like, I don't know enough to be able to cite this, but I know that this is like a thing that people say. That's as much citing as I have.
Yeah.
But like, if everything was good all the time, it wouldn't be good anymore. It would just be our normal. So it's important to have variety in experiences so that you're able to appreciate the good things when they do come, because you know how lucky you are to be experiencing that. You know?
Yeah, right.
That's how I feel, at least.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's
able to appreciate the good in my life way more because
yeah,
I know what the bad looks like.
it's like
at least to an
it's
extent.
the valleys that make the peaks
Yeah, exactly.
feel
Higher.
good,
You wouldn't
Right.
have peaks if it were all peaks. It'd just
No.
be flat.
and then you just pass out from lack of oxygen. I don't know.
Exactly.
Who would want to do that? I don't know.
And that's our point. Don't hike Mount Everest. This was a secret topic. The
For
whole
sure,
time.
don't, because you're going to get up there, you're going to get lost. The wind is blowing, it's really cold. Then you're going to take all your clothes off and you're going to freeze to death.
Yeah.
That's what they do when they start to get.
Why do they take all their clothes off?
It's the weird thing that happens when you're freezing to death.
You take your
Suddenly,
clothes off?
your brain is in like, I'm going to make you feel hot because we're
Oh,
about to
so you
die.
feel like you're
you feel hot,
overheating?
and
Oh,
then
and then you freeze to death. Oh.
well, they're going to freeze
Well,
to death anyway.
I've heard that if you're in a very cold like situation, like if you're stranded and it's snowy, if you feel cold, you should find help, but you're still okay. But the
Right.
second you don't feel cold anymore,
You're really,
you
really in
need,
danger.
or if you feel sleepy, it's like,
Yup.
nope, you're dying. You need to get immediate help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, we're
We
a
went on
survival
another-
podcast
We
too.
went on another freaking tangent. God damn it.
Whatever. We've solved a lot of problems
Yeah, I
already.
feel like
We've done some art criticism.
some kids these days.
Kids these days, Old Man Shouts at Clouds. We've only consumed not even half a bottle
I just
of wine.
finished my one glass that I started with. I was talking too much to
Well,
be able to drink.
Yeah.
Oh, ASMR?
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, Polly on wine.
Polly on Wine hashtag sponsor.
Sorry, we have to, it's like 12 times per episode or something like that.
Thank you, Polly. Love you.
Polly will be a guest sometime too. We can do.
Ooh, that'd be really fun.
Yeah,
What would we talk about? It can't be wine because you have your own podcast about that.
we could talk about wine. We could do a joint podcast. Oh no, talk about joints. Wait, no. Don't do drugs, kids.
Or do, if you wanna.
I wanted to see what other. I feel like we missed one of your big points.
I kind of hit value placed on youth versus wisdom.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, your grown-up decision point.
My grown-up decision point.
Yeah, you came up with that one.
Well, okay, but I think I kind of already hit on it. Like from your story, like grown-ups show up.
Mm,
It's kind of grown-up decisions are the things the times like. Well, also there's the.
I think that's a little bit different because
It is
in that situation, I wasn't like sitting there like, damn, let me really work through what I want to do here.
right.
Like I was like,
no, you reacted.
okay, here we go, game face. You know, we have to do something because
But
we
that's my
can't
point.
not do something. But when I think about grown up decision, like I think I'm personally working through a couple of those in my head right now,
Yep.
and have been for quite a few months. So, like to me, grown up decision, at least personally, by default, is something that takes a while to work out. Like it's something that has true, genuine thought behind it. Like it's not a snap decision.
Okay.
Personally, for
I
me,
understand, but I do think that I guess yes, but the point of the story that you told about getting the call from your friend, that snap decision was a grown-up decision. It was the
Yes.
grown-up decision to say, friends show up for each other.
Okay, I guess I'm thinking, when I think grown-up decision, I'm thinking personally for my own
Right.
life.
I know. And that's where you were saying it's
Yeah.
kind of, we're talking about different things there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do I buy a house? Do I go to grad
Like,
school
where
right
do
away?
I go to grad school?
Yeah.
What, you know?
Those are grown-up decisions, sure. I think that those are the consequences of actually being grown up, though.
They're not requirements for?
No. As a matter of fact, I don't want you making them unless you're actually grown up enough to make them.
Okay, agreed. But wouldn't you say, like, I think this is a chicken egg situation.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say you can't truly be a grown up until you've made one of those decisions, like, and felt the weight behind it and felt the responsibility because you're feeling the fallout from your
Mhm.
decision?
Yeah.
Because I think, back to kids these days, a lot of the problem is kids make decisions and don't have to deal with the consequences. I think
Oh, there you go. I
That's-
think that's an excellent point.
because consequences, at least for me, are where I've learned most of my most valuable lessons.
A grown-up understands the consequences of their behavior and their decisions.
Okay.
A child
Well, thank
does
you for
not.
coming to the podcast. No, I think that's a really good.
I think you just brought us to that point. I think that's a really great way of crystallizing it. And it doesn't mean that grown-ups always make the right decision, right?
Yeah.
Like, heck no. I mean, I've watched Chicago drivers, and most of them are
my
grown-ups,
gosh, guys.
and they make some
We have
poor decisions.
seriously almost watched like
Oh gosh,
5 people die this weekend.
both driving and
Walking.
What are the?
We watched a guy
How did
with
this
driving
man-
very busy intersection. Cars driving at full speed,
Right, yeah, 30 to 40 miles an hour.
both directions, and this guy just doesn't look, doesn't slow down, just waltzes into the intersection. And obviously you braked because you didn't want to murder a man today.
Not today.
Not today, maybe tomorrow.
Today is not that day.
But we all turned around in the car to watch what happened as he went into the next lane.
Yeah,
And he
it was real close.
nearly got hit. And then when the car screeched to a halt in front of him, he went like he was in the right. We all lost our minds.
He was raised by a culture that did not turn him into a functioning grown-up.
True. Or maybe his opinion that everything he does, he deserves and he's right about, maybe he's doing great.
Well,
because sometimes that helps. Get
till
you
a
in-
CTA bus clips his
Yeah, right.
head.
Till he just is pancaked.
Because
in
I
the
can
middle
tell
of
you,
Chicago.
the bus drivers aren't going to give a
Oh, the bus drivers
single
especially.
damn about his right to the pedestrian.
I'm a pedestrian.
He's going to be like, timetable says I got to be right up there in 1 minute. Anyway.
Sorry, I didn't see you. Oops.
Okay, so yeah, grown-up decisions. Sorry.
Grown-up decisions.
Mm.
Well, you were saying something about grown-ups making bad decisions or something. I don't know. I've
Well,
never
like,
experienced.
Grown-ups can make. Shut up.
I'm kidding. I have.
Seems like you want to
Are we gonna
get
fight?
something off your chest there.
Are we gonna fight on the podcast today?
About my bad decisions?
Oh no,
Oh, okay.
not yours. I was just talking about how I haven't made any.
Oh.
All I've made are good decisions ever.
Oh, I thought you meant you hadn't made grown-up decisions yet.
That could also be true.
No, I think you have.
I think I have to.
And I think your point about, grown-up decisions not being snap decisions, but they're more considered. You're thinking about multiple perspectives, analyzing things like what are the pros, what are the cons, like
what are the
Right.
outcomes from the
mhm.
possible choices I have, and how happy
Right.
am I with these outcomes? And I also think, not to toot my own horn, but
Toot, toot.
when toot, toot. When I was a teenager, I think I was aware that I did not have the information and the
Mm.
experience to be making
Yeah. Okay.
decisions like
Again,
that.
you had that self-awareness. Yeah.
And I think I was
I would agree
Not
with
in
that.
all cases, but in some cases, I think I was pretty good at seeking out opinions from people that I did think had the correct information and experience.
Well, okay. I know
You don't have to get into it.
I know some of what you're probably thinking about, and I would argue that you still did in pretty much every circumstance seek out the support of folks around you that you thought might be able to add value, even if in the end you kind of charted your own path and dealt with consequences.
Maybe, yeah, dealt with consequences for sure. Maybe.
Should we talk about future podcast topics around that? No, we should.
No, definitely no, is the answer
Okay.
to that one.
Okay.
I think we can continue skirting around it and
Cool.
referring to it very cryptically, like
Excellent.
we have today.
I like it.
Look forward to more, you guys. We have been podcasting though for almost exactly an hour, which means that it's time to talk about what we're going to talk about next episode.
Oh gosh. But what have we
No, we
solved
wrapped it up. We
have-
solved it
have we
because
solved
remember, we concluded
growing up
being a grown up means
means
making decisions with full knowledge that consequences will happen.
and they're on you.
They're on you.
Okay.
The blowout, the fallout is on you.
The blowout is when you make adult decisions, and then that turns into a little baby,
Ew.
and then it.
And it poops too much in its diaper. To me, a blowout is when you get a bad tattoo and the ink spreads
You know what?
under your
In the
skin.
grand scheme of things,
that one's
I'd
not as bad.
I'd prefer that. Listen, hey, we could talk about some of your blowouts.
Have I think I was probably a perfect baby and never did that and cleaned my own diapers, I think. We can move on. Let's look at our list.
Okay.
I think this one, I keep shaking the table. I'm so sorry.
I know.
I think this topic was a pretty good middle ground in terms of intensity.
I feel like it got more intense than I expected it to. I started with the fucking Toys R Us theme song.
Yeah, but you always start with bullshit. So
Oh, thanks.
that's your bit.
Starting with bullshit?
Yeah.
Let's talk about pets, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but it does kind of flow so far in the sense that it's just chaos. Like our topics too.
Oh, yes.
Like, okay, yeah, you got to know who we are, why we're talking to each other, but we went
from that to religion.
We immediately went to religion.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you could do like, yeah, whatever.
We could do like 3 more podcast episodes about religion, I think. Yeah.
But
well, I think that's very authentic to us because when we actually have like these conversations in the wild, we don't go into them being like, we have to stick, to our category.
I have, well, that's true. And I have an idea. I just had an idea.
Just now?
This is the spark of inspiration. Just
How exciting.
Struck. Wait. No, it was a spark of inspiration. I thought it might have been gas.
But you have to go like this. Eureka! No, you have to do it.
What if one of these times we did like the hot button lightning round where we just literally time ourselves, where we come up with like the crazy, awful topics and we do
like 5 minutes per topic.
And it's
back and
just
forth. And if you don't explain yourself perfectly by the end of 5 minutes, what you said is just done.
Yep. And then we just you have your list of topics and then I have my list of topics.
We're presenting them to each other.
But
we're still discussing them.
It's like a Socratic kind of a thing. Okay. Or not, I don't know. I don't think that's the right way. Socratic is the question and answer, right? It's
well, in school, when they said we're doing a Socratic seminar, that means that everybody has to participate.
Okay, so it would be more like you have your list of topics and you'd say, this is what I think.
5 minutes, go. And we both go
you go back and forth real quick. And then when the timer goes, it's like,
well, you're done. What you said is done.
Maybe we'll just call that our solve that
solved
segment.
that special.
Because at the timer end, we go solve that,
Solve
and then
that.
move on to the next
Okay,
thing.
I'll add it to my list. That's really good.
But
I
that
like
would be fun, right?
Yeah.
And we wouldn't. It wouldn't be a.
We wouldn't, go too crazy.
No, it
like,
would be
offend
authentic to
people.
the shallow end.
Yes, quite shallow, and also again authentic to the actual conversations that we have. Because
Yes.
we sure say some stuff and then move on very quickly. So for next episode, though, do you want to do that, or do you want to do something else?
I think we need to have a little more, a little more time to think through that.
Yeah, I'll definitely need time to come up with a list.
What do we think? What do we think about? Oh, we could do the Shallow End Book Club.
That would be fun.
You want to do book club? It would be just like books. That's a little bit of a back and forth again.
We could do books that are influential to ourselves personally.
Right.
Books that are influential to, I think, the family, because I grew up in a very book heavy household.
Yep.
And then maybe books currently that we're either reading or can't stop thinking about or are heavy on our minds currently.
And then
that would be interesting.
And then wrap it up with a lightning round of book versus movie, which was better.
That would be fun because I actually have some controversial thoughts on this.
Oh, because sometimes the movie is better. Damn it.
Okay. Yes. My favorite movie right now, I think the reason I love it so much is because the book was, I'm not going to say it. The book was precious to me as a child. Like beat up. I reread it so many times, and I think the movie's better than the book.
Oh, that's a good teaser to leave on. So next episode,
we'll do the Shallow End.
We're going to talk about the Shallow End.
We're
going to institute the Shallow End Book Club, which is the way to make shit tons of money.
Just put a sticker.
Create a book club. We're going to be the Shallow End Book Club is going to now propel books to the top of the bestseller list.
Infamy.
And then we're going to secretly sign development deals for the movie version of the books.
Oh, I see. Before we even put a sticker on them.
Reese Witherspoon, Reese Witherspoon. It's her. That's her whole business model these days. I love it.
Good for her.
Yeah,
Queen.
Oh. And on that note,
thank you so much for joining us again. For those that came back, we love you guys for being so loyal and
both
also
of you
tolerant. Thank you for being so tolerant. We'll see you next time on the Shallow End. Love you. Bye.
This was fun. Bye-bye.